Hello, my name is Avery Taylor, and today I'll be trying to predict every single trade at the MLB trade deadline. This is being recorded just after the Zach Eflin trade to the Baltimore Orioles, so if anything happens after that, please be mindful. If you enjoy this sort of video, please be sure to subscribe, and I don't want to waste any more of your time. Let's go ahead and get into it. Starting off, let's have Tarek Skubal going to the Arizona Diamondbacks. This is a team that is in need of starting pitching. Behind Zach Eflin, there really hasn't been much production. So Tarek Skubal seems like an excellent choice with some control after this season. Next, we had the Milwaukee Brewers grabbing their first base option, being Josh Bell from the Miami Marlins. Next, we had the Arizona Diamondbacks doubling up, grabbing David Robertson from the Texas Rangers to get some much-needed bullpen help. Next, we had the Boston Red Sox grabbing Luis Rengifo from the Los Angeles Angels. Obviously, he'll make the switch to second base, but he is more than capable of doing so given his position versatility and gives the Red Sox a plus bat. After that, we had the St. Louis Cardinals grabbing Taylor Ward, the left fielder from the Los Angeles Angels, to give them some much needed outfield help. Next, we had the Minnesota Twins grabbing Frankie Montas, a very much needed depth piece to their starting pitching rotation. The seventh player of the list will be Kirby Yates, and he is going to the Philadelphia Phillies as their much needed closer. This bullpen has a lot of great pieces, but adding a big name closer would be the final piece of the puzzle. For the Houston Astros, they've been thrown into the starting pitching mix, mainly because of injuries, but they grab one of the biggest names on the market, grabbing Garrett Crochet from the Chicago White Sox. Another big name pitcher, this time in the form of reliever, will be headed to the Boston Red Sox. It's Kyle Finnegan, formerly of the Washington Nationals. Speaking of relievers headed east, we have Drew Smyly going to the New York Mets. And then we have Jose Leclerc making his way to the Los Angeles Dodgers to help out that bullpen, even though they don't seem to need it, but who cannot have enough bullpen help? Next, we had the Pittsburgh Pirates grabbing a much-needed outfield piece, being Mike Yastrzemski from the San Francisco Giants. We also had the Minnesota Twins grabbing a corner outfield piece, this time being Jesse Winker, who's having a great year in Washington. We had the Los Angeles Dodgers grabbing a much-needed starting pitching depth piece, and Tyler Anderson in a reunion piece. And joining him in the trade will be Patrick Sandoval from the Los Angeles Angels. I'll have that as a package deal. The 17th player on today's list will be Justin Turner, and I have him going to the Seattle Mariners. He gives them a much needed bat. He hasn't been performing up to last year's standards this year, but he will be much improved over what they have currently. Next, we have Dylan Floro making his way to the San Diego Padres to give them a much needed bullpen piece. Then we have Michael Conforto making his way to the Arizona Diamondbacks, shifting Corbin Carroll into center field permanently. Elias Diaz finishes off the Minnesota Twins trade rampage, being their backup catcher, gives them an excellent option. Brent Rooker makes his way to Philadelphia. He doesn't necessarily fit roles-wise, but it shifts Nick Castellanos to the bench, and we'll have Brent Rooker in right field. Kevin Pillar has been having a great year in Mike Trout's absence in Los Angeles, so we're going to have him going to the Cleveland Guardians. The number 23 player will be Buck Farmer, and I have him going to the Pittsburgh Pirates to give them some middle relief help. Jack Flaherty makes his way to the Milwaukee Brewers, who get some much-needed starting pitching depth. Next, we have the Seattle Mariners continuing their rampage, grabbing Hector Neris. Next, I have Lane Thomas making his way to the Kansas City Royals, gives them an outfield option with another year of control. I had the Seattle Mariners finishing up their rampage, grabbing Paul DeJong to fill in for J.P. Crawford, who is going to be out for some time with injury. Next, I have Yusei Kikuchi making his way to the Cleveland Guardians to help them with their starting pitching. At number 30, I have Jake Berger making his way to the Los Angeles Dodgers. He gives them an excellent bat that this team kind of needs, especially in the wake of the injuries. To conclude the Boston Red Sox rampage, I have them grabbing Andrew Vaughn from the Chicago White Sox to give them some much-needed help at first base. Next, I had the Kansas City Royals grabbing Eloy Jimenez from their division rival, the Chicago White Sox. The New York Yankees get their bullpen help in the form of Nick Martinez from the Cincinnati Reds. Andrew Heaney makes his way to the divisional rivals of the Reds in the St. Louis Cardinals. Jazz Chisholm makes his way to the New York Mets. This gives them an option both at second base and center field, neither of which their positions are very strong, but have mediocre players in those spots. Lamonte Wade Jr. fills out the Houston Astros need at first base. Jameson Taillon makes his way to the San Diego Padres, helping them fill out that pitching depth that is hurting. Michael Lorenzen helps go to Baltimore, filling out that pitching depth as they need for the rest of the year, and then can switch to the bullpen if needed. Miguel Andujar makes his way to Atlanta in a much underrated move. And then the Kansas City Royals finish off their trade deadline with Carlos Esteves in a very underrated move with the Angels. Next, we have the New York Yankees biting the bullet with their division rival. Isaac Paredes comes to the New York Yankees from the Tampa Bay Rays as an instant offense upgrade at third base. Tommy Pham also makes his way to the Atlanta Braves. And then to finish out the video, I had the Baltimore Orioles grabbing Luis Robert. This is going to be a move that does see Cedric Mullins probably going back to Chicago, but it gives the Orioles the final piece of the puzzle to be a World Series probably favorite. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to subscribe. And as always, I hope you have a wonderful day.